Hello to everyone that is top of the league. Let's hope this is working. It seems to be working this week. Wow, wow, wow. 12 games won, 1 game loss, 1 game draw on November the 12th. Can anyone believe that we are top of the league? 5 points clear. So, for those that are top of the league, press like. For those that are top of the league, press subscribe, because I've got some really good shows coming up for you during the World Cup. Nothing to do with the World Cup, all to do with Arsenal. Right, before we continue, let me welcome all of you in the chat room to the chat and to my lovely guests. And we're missing one, but he's coming on soon. Welcome back, Chris. Happy 40th.
Thank you very much. Feeling like an old man. And may I just say, well, I wish it could be Christmas every day. Christmas, baby.
Oh, God. No, I'm not into Christmas songs. It's November. Not yet. Just not yet. But
it is Christmas between now and the 26th of December when we play West Ham, because top of the league, baby. Top of the league.
Remember, if you're top of the league, you've got to go and press like. Albert, welcome back to the show. It's one of our post-game shows. We haven't done this for a while, have we?
No, it's good to come back to one, isn't it? Well, what a brilliant result. Yeah.
I'm getting used to winning. It's just beautiful feeling. And Danny, whoa! The GFP is back. Welcome back to the same old Arsenal.
Very sneaky of you to put the link to this at 1:30 when you knew I was asleep. That's PM. So I had to scroll back and find it when Chris sent me that message.
I do apologise. 1:30 in the afternoon. I normally do it a couple of days before, but it's been a bit of a busy week.
That's organisation for you.
I know. I am. But you see, this is part of my job to be organised. Anyway, enough about any of this. Hello to everyone in the chat room. Do you know what? We did something different. Who was on the show with me last week? Honestly, I lose touch. I know Chris and Dan weren't. Albert, were you on the show with Cookie last week, weren't you?
I was with Cookie, yes, remember.
We did something.
We all look the same, don't we, as podcast guests? We were
the same. Yes, but I love you all. Thank you all for joining me on the last night of a really sort of 7-week break. But what a break, honestly. 5 points clear. I'm sorry, but even I, who have loved Arteta from the beginning, who really thought this might be quite a good season, would never have believed this. So I'm very happy. So what we did last week, Dan and Chris, is that we didn't go through the whole game. We just picked out points and let the people in the chat room talk to us, because there's no point. Everyone's watched it. We know what happened. We all wish Granit Xhaka well. He did look very ill when they gave him that drink. I said to Cole, he looks really pale. And as a mum, I'm always looking to see, looking after the boys. And I thought he just looked sick and a bit virusy, and I'm surprised he continued for 14 minutes, but we all wish him well. So, Chris, you've been on your travels for your 40th in America. Just give us a quick example of what it was like to watch. Was it the Chelsea game you watched with the Gooners in San Francisco?
No, I'm sad to say that the Chelsea game was on at 4 a.m. and I was in Vegas, and I was not getting up for that time because I went to bed about 2 hours beforehand. But I was there it was in San Francisco with the Bay Area Gooners. If you're ever in San Francisco, hardcore support getting up at a ridiculous o'clock in the morning, and kudos to the guys that were very welcoming there. And I think this speaks to actually not just San Francisco, but anywhere in the US, Hong Kong, East Coast, West Coast of the world, you always get such a fantastic community of global Arsenal fans. We are gargantuan.
I love that word. Danny, is that a sort of word you'd use for us abroad? Our fans are amazing all around the world.
Oh, I've got lots of words. Most of them are quite rude, so I better keep them to myself. But I'm sad to see, Chris, that you didn't get a decent webcam for your birthday. So let me know next year or the 50th, and I'll get you one that's got Vaseline all over it.
Shots fired. Yeah, but at least I've got lights on. You've got one sort of spotlight on your head.
Danny looks all right.
It looks like a boudoir in the background.
It does. I like Danny.
Can you change the colour of your lights at will? No, I can't. I've been drinking this week, Chris. I've had 2 bottles of cider.
Look at you.
One was marshmallow flavoured, and the other one was toffee apple. Before this gets out of control, Amanda, yes, I am very well. And the game is brilliant, and I wasn't concerned at all at any point because Wolves are rubbish. And I'd have said before the game that I have one bloke thinking he's Daley Thompson, running, jumping, kicking, and sprinting, and not actually doing anything. And then you have the rest of them trying to kill us. And that was the gist of what the game was. Just a matter of time until we scored. And some of the stuff we did. I just read a tweet that said Ødegaard had scored, I think it was 8 goals in 50 games for Arsenal. He's now scored 6 in 13 this season.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you know what? One of my last tweets was, that'll shut up all the pathetic Ødegaard haters, because we've always I think most of us have been so passionately behind him and can see what he brings. But let's just, so we wish Granit well. Hopefully, be okay for the World Cup. I hope all our players, we've got 8 going that are just, pray. Is it 10?
It's 10, yeah.
I just pray the 10 of them are okay and one of them wins the World Cup and everybody's well when they come back, and we just continue. We just continue on this amazing journey we're on, where I don't think, and I often blanket, don't I? But I don't think anyone would have predicted that we are sitting here worrying about whether Brentford were going to get a second goal or not, and whether whether Newcastle could, maybe Chelsea get a point, because that's what we would have preferred. And Tottenham are just Tottenham, aren't they? They're just lucky. But it's just such a wonderful feeling, and you just don't want it to end. And it's so lovely that we go into the World Cup, top of the Premier League is just incredible. We've just not been, I've not been in love with Arsenal this much in so many years. The fans, oh my God, I love Arteta. I love all his crew. I love all the players. It's just lovely. So, Danny, I was a bit bored the first half. I kept saying, look, they've got 83 men behind the ball. We're going to have to be creative. Albert, I was like, is this going to be a 0-0 draw? Are the players a little bit laid back because they're going into the World Cup and they didn't want to injure? Chris, is it because, City lost? Are they sort of laying back a little bit on their tackle? So let's talk to all of you. People in the chat room, send us your questions to whoever you want to answer, and I'll put them up. So who wants to start? Should we go with Chris? Go with Chris, because you haven't been here for a week.
Yeah. Oh, that's very kind of you. Top 4 at the beginning of the season was basically the minimum requirement. You know how teams that just come up think, let's just get to 40 points. Let's just get to 40 points. Well, I think as Arsenal fans, we were just, let's please just get to a level of points that in history and time gone by, top 4 would secure it. I'm beyond that now.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely beyond that. And maybe I'm late to the party compared to other people in the chat, compared to you 4 guys. But I wasn't even looking at the Tottenham result today. I watched the Chelsea and Newcastle game thinking, well, maybe a draw is a good result, but I'm not really that fussed. And when Newcastle scored, I was like, well, maybe that's a good thing for us because it's one less in Chelsea. It's one less opponent if we can win tonight. But that's where my mind's at now. My mind is now at, forget the rest. I want to start staring down the barrel of the gun against Erling Haaland and that Manchester City team. That's how buoyant I feel. We came up against a team that let's not forget that last season was a difficult game, dodgy referee. Season before that, I think that was the COVID season where we lost to them with a dodgy David Luiz, like a slight touch on the heel. Wolves was a difficult place to go. And for the first half, that felt like this was going to be low block, difficult place to go, hit us on the transition. You can see what they wanted to do, get the ball out wide. 3 or 4 times they said they put balls over wide on the right hand side to try and get in beyond Zinchenko for Semedo to get in there. You could see what their game plan was, but you can't say it at the time because you're always nervous as an Arsenal fan. With the benefit of hindsight and the 2-0 victory in place, that was comfortable at the back, bar a few chances. Ramsdale made a couple of saves, but that was pretty much it. And that's what this Arsenal team are doing to us now. They're giving us that confidence.
Apart from Saliba, who my heart was in my hands, honestly. And I actually think, because Carl said this, that Arteta told him where to place the ball and he gave it back to him. But I've got a question for you, Chris, before I leave. Cole Stark wants to know, how overjoyed was he to see his favourite player, Cedric, come on?
I don't understand that, to be honest with you. Someone in the chat can explain to me the reasoning behind Cedric ahead of Tierney. Tierney's not going to a World Cup, so there's no risk there. Cedric's not going to a World Cup. Unless Cedric has got pictures of Arteta in compromising positions, then...
He does do coaching with the kids, though, doesn't he? And Tierney isn't an Arteta man. He'll be off. He might be off in January to West Ham.
I think so. Oh, no,
sadly.
don't. I love Tierney. Albert, just give us your overall thoughts. Look, it is very hard to work out what he's doing with Tierney. I keep saying he's managing his injuries and stuff, but not to bring him on today, and he's not going to a World Cup. So, what's your thoughts?
Well, in regards to the game, Wolves. I went for a 2-0 prediction actually for Arsenal today. So got that bang on. Wolves are just they had an issue in terms of not scoring enough goals, but this season they can't score goals and they can't defend. So you've got the double whammy. I think they got minus goal difference of -14 before today. So I couldn't see where they would score against us today, to be honest, unless we gifted them a goal or gifted them opportunities. And you could see that in the first half the way they played, because since Wolves come up into the Premier League, they're a very good footballing team to watch, but not this season. I mean, they sat back very, very deep. We found it very difficult to break them down. Saka and Martinelli weren't really getting much joy, but I'll give credit to Semedo and the other guy, I forgot his name. Is it Bueno? Was it? I think at the left wing back. So they kept it very, very tight. We didn't really penetrate them too many times, but that was difficult. Listen, this team are bottom of the league for a reason. The new managers there, so they want to show a bit of an impression, even though he's not taken charge until just now. So yeah, like you said, Amanda, the first half wasn't really a lot to write home about, to be honest with you. I think the good thing is we didn't sort of create any mistakes on our behalf, which has happened in the early part of the season. But Saliba had a couple moments playing that blind pass. I was like, oh my god, what's he doing? Because he didn't look. At not any point did he look. I thought that there's a man there if you don't look, but we got away with it. And I did. I think what needed to happen is, if we get the first goal, and once we got the first goal, if we did get it, it would completely change the game, and it did.
Absolutely. Just moving on to Dan. Just before we do, Dan, it seems like your fan club has turned up here tonight.
I know, man.
So welcome to everyone that thought he was going to be on a Bird Camp Wonderland, and he's come to join us.
Yeah, but it just seems
Dan's fan club's here. First of all, did everyone vote for Tony Adams tonight? Did you all remember to do it?
I forgot. I was busy watching football.
Sorry. Yeah, that's very true. Danny's right.
Come on.
He'll win, don't worry.
He will win. It's spoiling everyone. Every Karen is so upset with it. It's hilarious.
Wonderful.
Apologies if there's any Karens in the chat room. Dan, so, I thought it was pretty bland the first half. I wanted him to throw some teacups in the second half. Still wasn't great the first part of the second half, but it never felt that worried, did it? Never worrying that we were going to lose.
It didn't, and I don't think we get enough credit for that, because being where we are, the amount of pressure it is on the other clubs are the ones that are struggling to deal with the pressure. Spurs pooed the bed today yet again. Man United are rubbish. Liverpool are rubbish. Chelsea, well, that's just hilarious, the state of Chelsea. And do you know AC Jimbo, it does the Totally Football show? Some of you probably know is that podcast. They said, have you got a question for this week? So the first question I've ever sent them is quite relevant about this. I put, Arsenal have been top of the Premier League. I'm going to update this for now, for 14 out of 16 games. Last season, City was top of the Premier League for 24 games and only 19 games the season before that. So we're only 16 games into the season. We've been top for 14 and 5 points clear. We will never get the credit that we deserve for that. And we made it look so easy in the first half today. It was almost like when you're fighting someone of a limited height and you just put your hand on their head, let them swing away for 45 minutes, swing and punch and kick and scream. And the second half go, right, everyone ready? On the count of three, let's start scoring some goals and turning these mugs inside out. That's exactly what we did. And we won't get credit for it, Amanda. We never get credit for it because we're Arsenal and everyone hates us.
And we don't care. But
We
the
do not
problem
care.
is Tottenham keep winning and they're in the top 4 still. And it's so annoying because they're absolutely atrocious and boring to watch. And even their fans aren't happy. But
They're not.
they keep winning and we don't want to talk about them anyway. Right. We had a question before. I just want to ask, right, I'm going to put this to you, Dan. Okay, Robert Stevens. I have a question. Do you feel he was very wide open down the left-hand side on the counter? I really don't feel safe with Zinchenko in there. If Arteta wants to play him in midfield and then play Tierney, I think that's what he would prefer. Thanks, Robert, for your question.
Well, it was a weird one because you'd be thinking if we need a holding central midfielder, that's the role that Zinchenko does for Ukraine, and he does it magnificently. And he's done it for virtually every single game apart from the first couple. That's what he's done for Ukraine. He's one of their best players, and they play really decent football, and he does the job. Steph. And he's put me off, Steph has. And so you'd have thought, if you were doing that, then you think, well, Xhaka's gone off. I mean, if you saw my desk here, you'd imagine that Xhaka's been around my house. I've got bakewell tarts, I've got crisps, I've got Moams, and I've got fizzy sweets, and I'm stuffing my face like a 3-year-old. Anyone would think that Xhaka's been sharing my diet with me, but to do that, and you thought, well, that'd be the logical situation to then bring on Tierney, because all of us have said so many times, I've been listening to the shows, that we don't need to play 4 centre-backs across the back 4 when you're playing a team like Wolves. You do it like when we're playing against Liverpool, when you want Tomiyasu to man-mark Salah out of the game, or Son out of the game, or Carlson out of the game, and players like that. You don't need to do it. And a game like Wolves have got nothing. I tweeted, they've only won 2 games all at home all season, scored 5, conceded 11. You don't need to go defensive. It would have been lovely to have Tierney on that left-hand side, ripping it up and down, to have Zinchenko in the middle. I'm still not 100% sure that Zinchenko is as good a left back as Arteta thinks he is. He is a bit fallible at times, but he is coming back from an injury, so maybe that's put that into context a little bit. But I love Tierney. I love him. I love his Tesco's carrier bag. I love his running around in his Y fronts in the snow, and I don't want him to go.
No, nor do I. Right, just jumping onto a subject that everyone seems to talk about, and I think I'm going to put this to you, Chris. Kate Johnston, welcome to the show, but I think you're only here for Danny. But hello, please subscribe. We'll welcome you back. I really hope the World Cup is good for Jesus' confidence. I was willing him to score today. Listen, I don't think that boy's lacking confidence. I just think he's lacking goals. He does everything else, but I'm going to hand it over to you, Chris.
Yeah, I also want to jump on the Zinchenko thing, but I'll do the Gabriel Jesus thing first. So I actually tweeted this about half an hour ago. If Gabriel Jesus does not score a single goal for the rest of the season, however, he plays like he's been playing every single week and we win every single game, I don't care. Because if we win every single game, we won't. But if we win every single game, or at least get enough points to be better than Man City, we will be standing there. Some of us, lucky of us, will be standing there in the Emirates on the last game of the season, seeing our team lift a trophy. Or wherever you are in the world, you'll be seeing your team lift a trophy. That is the only thing that matters. And even the press, I've seen like a couple of things on The Athletic or Sky Sports talking about the same stuff, saying the role that he plays. Focus on that, guys. Ignore anything else about Gabriel Jesus and the goal scoring. He is getting in positions. He has changed us as a team, and we are winning football matches as a result. His confidence is absolutely fine, so I've got no issues in it whatsoever.
Chris,
before I run out of there,
hold on. I'm going to come back to you on Zinchenko. Wait
okay,
for a second. I will come back to you. But Danny and Albert, have you got any other things to contribute about Jesus, or do you feel the same as Chris and I do?
Albert? No, there's not much more to. It's a shame. He's I think Smithy mentioned it on commentary, and it's true. Like if you're not hitting the back of the net, you got to be contributing in other aspects, and he's been doing that. It's just a shame. Obviously, he didn't get on the score sheet today. Very, very close to, by the way, and great pre-assist as well today. So yeah, listen, no more to add really.
Dan,
I'm not worried at all because we've seen so many times in Arsenal history, we had one player who scores the goal, Aubameyang, Ian Wright, Henry, and when they didn't score goals, that we didn't score goals. I'd much rather have. I think we've had 14 different goal scorers this season in all competitions. I'd rather have 14 all scorers than have 2 or 3 players scoring all the goals, because as Man City have found out, when Haaland isn't scoring, they're not winning.
No, and yeah. Long may that continue. And let me tell you about my City mates today. By the way, thank you, Kate, for your lovely message. And I'm so pleased that you do listen. That's lovely of you to say. Thank you. My City mates have been giving it all morning. It is quite funny. I think they think that we all think we're going to stroll and win the league. But I don't really feel like that. And I know, look, you can start to believe a little bit.
I think we're going to win the league.
Yeah, no, they think that we think that we're like, oh, Arsenal are going to win the league.
No.
So, and I said, I don't know anyone that's saying that. We're enjoying the ride. Every game, we're just enjoying being top of the league and up there with it all. But they are so bitter. I love them. They're my mates as well. But it's hilarious. They're like, yeah, wait till you come back in January and all this. And I'm like, yeah, you keep saying that. September, October. We're the end of November. Well, we're mid-November and we're top of the tree. So do you know what? We're just enjoying it. You worry about your own team. You looked awful against Brentford today. Anyway, sorry, there was... All right, I'm coming back to Chris. Oh, no, Chris, you want to talk about Zinchenko?
Yeah, sorry. And then let's ask Albert a question, because his sexy voice needs to be heard a little bit more.
Cheers, mate. Pay you later.
On the Zinchenko thing and the KT thing, so I love KT and I want to see more of him, and I think we should have seen more of him whilst he was out. But I think the role that he's playing, so Semedo was getting in behind on the right-hand side and there was space there. But I think Arteta has changed the way he wants that left-back role to function, a bit more like what Pep's done with Cancelo at Man City. I think Arteta has deliberately told KT, you're going to need to start playing like that, because we've started to see him move into that kind of those central positions at times. And we've also seen the same when Tomiyasu was in there. So I think even if KT would have played that role slightly differently today, but I still think he'd have occupied central positions. So whilst I am a big fan of KT and I'd love to have seen him more over the last few weeks, and you only need to check my timeline to see how I've not been the happiest bunny in the world that we're not seeing more of him, I don't think it would have been as massive a difference between the two tonight. That's just a gut feel. I think it's the way that Arteta wants his left back to set up. That was it.
Okay, cool. We've got some brilliant questions coming in. I want to discuss this actually. Sky going in big on the offside that wasn't, and the possible penalty yawn. Agendas are real, because a lot of people are asking why, as Danny said, they hate us, and people in the chat room are saying, why do the media hate us? Especially if you don't live in this country, you don't see it. Tottenham are definitely favoured. And if you'd have listened to the commentator on Sky tonight, it was like willing Wolves to score. I don't know if anyone noticed that. And I want to make a point about Alan Smith. Alan Smith's been on this show many times. He's actually a good friend of mine, and he was getting slaughtered. And he has said to me so many times that he can't win. If he's biased towards Arsenal, he gets called biased. If he goes against Arsenal, he gets called a hater. He says to me, I just say it as I see it. If I think Arsenal have done wrong, they've done wrong. But I saw he got a lot of hate tonight. But for me, I thought it was offside. But yes, it was a penalty after. So it's offside. So that's the end of it. I don't understand the debate. But now they're saying it wasn't offside. Any of you got any thoughts on that?
You're on about that the wonder goal from Jesus at the beginning?
No.
I think it's the Saliba thing, isn't it? Saliba foul.
Because it was offside. Then he fouled him. Definitely was a penalty. But it was offside. So he just pulled it back for offside, and that was it. But apparently it wasn't offside. But again, that's not our fault. The ref called it. The ref called it, didn't he, Albert? He called it offside, and that was that.
He did.
But they're going on about this, yet they're not going on about the fact that we've won bloody 12 games. Honestly,
man, do you know what? Before you go on to the next thing, I don't watch the program, but I'm going to record it specifically because I'm going to be at work on Monday. Ref watch, right? Because they're going to talk about that. They're going to talk about it, and I want to hear what Mr. Gallagher has to say this time after what he said about the penalty at Southampton. I can't wait to see what he has to say.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I want to hear what he has to say.
To be fair, though,
he said
out
tangle
of
of
both of
legs.
them, Albert, Jamie Carragher really rates us as a club. Gary Neville, he can't even bear to say
you
that
can't.
you could possibly get, credit and stuff. But well, so and look, I mean, Kate saying the whole of half time Sky were discussing it. They hate Arsenal doing well, which I find really strange.
Does anyone else turn the commentary? I turn the game on when it starts. I turn it off during half time, and I turn it on for second half, and I turn it off right at the end. I don't give a damn what those mugs say. I love Kelly Cates. I think she's one of the best.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Right.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else do that? Because I'm not interested in their biased opinions.
There used to be, didn't
there? Depend who comes on.
Yeah. Didn't there used to be an option where you could just listen to the noise? Because that's one of the main things.
Yeah,
I would
they did
absolutely subscribe to that. Just listen to the noise of a ground.
Sky Analog back in the original days. You could do that.
In the old days.
They did Sky 3D, didn't they? Remember that nonsense?
Oh God, yeah.
Look, they don't bother me. We have a row of them when we're sitting downstairs, me and Carl. We just go, what are they going on about now? But I've just had a message from Carl saying Wolves manager Steve Davis saying Saliba should have been sent off and Wolves should have had a penalty for the first half incident. But you know what? It was classed as offside. So I don't see what the discussion is. If it's not offside, then that's down to the referee.
Exactly. Exactly.
But how about Odegaard getting a yellow card for barely touching the bloke's sleeve? But yet they're hacking down Saka and hacking down Martinelli. They're just crying because they're rubbish and they're going back to the Championship where they belong.
But we love it, Dan, don't we? Well, Wolves don't like us anyway because of last year. But we love the fact that we're not liked. It's a bit like being Millwall. We're sort of a nice Millwall, aren't we? No one likes us.
Yeah. That's a great comparison.
Not as bad, obviously.
That's where I live, by the way. Careful.
Okay. Yeah, Millwall. Anyway, moving on. Right, so let's just talk about. I wanted to talk about something else, but it's gone. Odegaard. Let's just talk.
Captain Marvel.
Let's wax lyrical. I'm going to go to all of you. Christopher, start waxing lyrical about Al Martin.
Oh, I love him so very much.
He's mine.
I can't express to you. I have to go very soft when I'm talking because my feelings about that man, they're fantastic. He's brilliant. His balance, the way in which he dictates games, the way in which he can peel across different positions, his interplay, brilliant. And the only thing he's been lacking recently is goals because he knits everything together for us as a team. He's always there. He's always showing. He very rarely loses possession as well. In one of my other WhatsApp groups with some of my mates, we were talking about Odegaard, Ozil, could he be better than Ozil? And one of the things I said is, let's not let recency bias on what happened with Ozil be something that is clouding how good Ozil was. But given the age that Odegaard is when he joined us, he's captain of the club. He leads by a different kind of example. He's not a chest thumper, but everything comes through him. And when he plays well, it's fantastic. Last season, when Odegaard played well and Saka together, it was all on that right-hand side. But I feel like he's broadened out his play, that we're now seeing more from him in different parts of the pitch, not least in the penalty box. And I think, like we were talking about, he's got like 6 goals this season. I mean, Arteta challenged him last season, get more goals, like he challenged Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe stepped up last season. He's injured this season. But this season, Odegaard, captain performance, dictate ball, always show, don't lose possession, and chip in with goals. I can't ask for anything more for the man.
Oh, I love him. Albert?
Yeah, listen, you see, man, you made a point actually sort of top of the show regarding mentioning Odegaard. He gets I don't get it with some Arsenal fans, well, some of our players to be fair, but talking about Odegaard in particular. But when you get him in that area of the pitch where, I don't know, 18 yards, 25, 30 yards from goal, that's the key areas you want him, as long as you get the ball to him. He's got great combination play with Bukayo Saka in particular. He spots that pass which can go from, pedestrian build-up play to bam, one pass goal. He's got that in his makeup. And I always say this about him. His work off the ball is excellent. And it's no coincidence in terms of the Arsenal team as a whole, we're a lot better team without the ball back, because a lot of pundits used to slaughter us for not being great out of possession. But yeah, Odegaard, listen, that's the main thing, like Chris said, it's just goals. You want him, look, even the first goal was tapping, right? But he's in that area, man. That's where you want him. That's where you need him to be to add more goals to his team, as Danny mentioned, across the whole team with goals by committee. That's what you want, and that's the one criticism. That's the only criticism I have of him, is to have a shot more. Shoot, you got it in your locker. You get into those advanced areas, add more goals to your game, and people will keep talking in a more positive light, as opposed to, either or camp. No, he was excellent today. Listen, brilliant. Colt 2 goals. Got 2 goals against Bournemouth earlier in the season. 2 goals today. So keep it going, Mike. Keep it going, mate.
He's a sexy player. I've never understood anyone that criticises him. I don't mean sexy in that way, Danny. I mean sexy footballer. Just the football is just.
I know what you meant, Amanda.
Cadman in that way. Before I come to you, Dan, I'm just going to say something. This could have been Reed Tierney and a few others. Arteta's come out and said we had a few players starting to feel sick just before kickoff. We couldn't change everyone, but he could not carry. And for him not to carry on is strange, but we adapted and we've managed to win, and that's what big teams do. He's also said it's great to be where we are. We're enjoying that moment. Our aim is to play better as a team every single day. We now have to use the time in the best possible way. So there is a massive sickness bug going around the country, actually. I've got a lot of people ill at work and stuff like that. So he looked ill, didn't he, Shaka? The poor thing. And he just went down the tunnel and probably threw his guts up. Excuse me if anyone's eating at this
Wolves literally lasagnaed us, like some team all those years ago, and we still came out on top.
Exactly. We're not like the lasagna team. Dan, anything to say on Ødegaard, who for me was my man of the match? Do you all agree?
Yeah,
he definitely was. But Chris made some interesting points comparing him to Ozil. Then I'm just looking at I hate Ozil, but best he ever did was 8 goals in 33 in the league, and then his next one was 6 in 35. But what's his name? He said Ramsdale. Ødegaard is doing now what Ozil should have done his entire career. If you look, Ødegaard's got 14 goals in 62 games at his time in the last 2 seasons with us, and he is a player that everyone loves, and he does it so well. And the amount in the second half, about from the 72nd to the 75th minute, we ran them ragged just before the goal, and they could do absolutely nothing about it. At one point, I mean, we saw the cheeky back heel that Martinelli did for Zinchenko to cross it in. But Ødegaard was jumping up, creating space. And this was of Ødegaard not playing in the Ødegaard role, because Fabio had to come on, and Fabio can't play in the central midfield role, so they're kind of sharing it. But if any one of those two was doing in the Xhaka role, it was Ødegaard dropping a little bit deeper to do all that lot. And it's just considering he wasn't playing in his best position, it was absolutely amazing. And also, talking about Ozil, he's at his new club in Turkey. He's played 10 minutes all season, and his team got smashed 7-0 at home by Galatasaray today, and that made me smile.
You might like this, Dan, then. Bulgarian Guna. Ødegaard is Ozil, but with a pair of balls.
Exactly, Drago.
See, look, Dan comes on the show and the tone just gets lowered. I love it. Dan, you need to come back on more often. I love all your stats. You're like my stat man. It's just fantastic.
It's on the other screen on Wikipedia. I can't take any credit.
Avon, thank you for your comment. Ødegaard work rate and counter pressing is on another level from what Ozil could provide. I really liked Ozil. I just think he was playing in the wrong team at the wrong time. But we move on. We've got Ødegaard. I'm just going to tell you more Arteta's been saying. Another 4 players are feeling sick. That's probably going to go around the camp now. But being selfish, we're not playing anymore. So let them be sick. Let them get over it all now and be well for the World Cup. Arteta, nobody expected us to be where we are right now, but I'm more focused on the way we are playing. What I love about him, he's living our world where we're just enjoying every moment. No one's looking at the table and going, it's May, it's November. You know, I tell you every week, people in the chat room, enjoy it now. We don't know what's going to happen when we all end up back at the Emirates on Boxing Night, which I have to say my mother's not impressed with, because we're supposed to have been with the family that day, and I've told her I'll be leaving at 6 o'clock. So thank you, TV companies, for putting us all in trouble with our families on Boxing Night. But wow, what an atmosphere it's going to be that night. Seriously, it's going to be like the beginning of the season part 2. It's just it's like a COVID thing all over again.
I think West Ham are dreading that game, to be honest, the way they're playing.
They are. I've got some West Ham fans. They're like, we've lost already. I said, you don't know what's going to happen.
And the best thing about it is it being the start of the season, is we get a 5-point head start.
I know, it's lovely. We'll still be top of the league come Boxing Night, regardless.
Exactly.
Right, everyone in the chat room, you know I love doing this. Tell us where you're all from, and I'll put it up on the I'll put the comments up. Also, if you've got any more questions, I would just like to say that I'm so proud of what we've achieved. It's exactly, Chris, what you said. We were all hoping for top 4 and perhaps to win the Europa League. That would have been incredible to have that. But now we're sort of looking at City's matches going, right, who have they got next? When have we ever done that? Looked at City and gone, who are they playing next?
Never.
Not since they've been half decent. Not since they've been half decent, because when we were half decent, they weren't even in question, were they? So
no, they weren't.
I just want more games. 8 points clear of Spurs with a game in hand over them, and they were lucky today. 3 times Leeds had the lead. Shocking.
Can we talk about this being Arsenal's greatest ever start to a season? Because I think that's quite significant. Like, we've won leagues before. We're a team that's won plenty of leagues before. But having a start to the season like this, and it might end up being N5, born and raised. Lovely.
Lovely. I love our Jobo.
Go on, Jobo.
It might not end up. I mean, we're up against a nation state, basically, who can buy themselves a cheat code striker. But we're keeping them at arm's length. This is something that we need to just appreciate the moment of right now. I even now feel like Man City are probably going to, I don't know, get to January and get more quality players in, and they can compete for 4 competitions and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. What I care about is what I'm seeing from my team. And what I'm seeing from my team is such a significant difference from this time last year. This time last year, where were we at compared to where we are now? This is amazing.
Madness.
I'm going to bask in this next 5-6 weeks to Christmas. I'm going to absolutely effing bask in it. I'm going to message all of my Tottenham mates. I'm going to message Liverpool fans. I'm going to message the Chelsea fans, as many as I can. And my response is always going to be top of the league, though. I've got a mate that arrived in my house. I'm going to stop in a second. But I've got a mate that arrived in my house in June for a barbecue with his Tottenham shirt on. And all he said to me as I opened the door, I chuckled and said, "You're right, Adam." And he went, "Yeah, Champions League, mate." And I went, "All right, we'll see."
Yeah. Oh, you get it all, don't you? Like, I started a new job in May, and I must be the worst nightmare for one of my colleagues who I work very closely with, who is a Tottenham season ticket holder. Because obviously he goes off on a Wednesday night and he goes, "Oh yeah, enjoy your Coronation Street. We've got that." And I went, Yeah, I'm enjoying Thursday nights, actually, because we're in a competition that we've got a chance of winning. And second of all, you've seen the table lately. Have a nice evening. And every week I'm coming in and we're winning. So I must be his worst nightmare. I mean, I don't sort of say it. I've got a West Ham season ticket holder as well, and a lot of people in the office. And it's quite funny that I just sit there and go, yeah, enjoy your Wednesday nights. Yeah. I'm looking at seeing who City are playing. Yeah, you worry about being fourth. It's quite funny, I just want to say that people that are watching from India and Australia in the middle of the night, I so appreciate that. That is so fantastic, because you could easily listen and watch this tomorrow. And people in America, look at Pramod,
Wow.
3:51. Are you mental listening to us at 5 to 4 in the morning?
They're not, Amanda. They're fine. They're very sane.
I love them all. Honestly, I really do.
Winning breeds. That's what winning does, isn't it, Amanda? Let's see. Hey?
Well, everyone's excited. There are about 20 podcasts gone live tonight, because I think because it's the last game till Boxing night. I won't be here Boxing night for a post-match, but we'll do it a couple of days later, maybe. I'm assuming that me and Chris will be at the Emirates. Danny, you'll be watching with the sound down. And
I'll
Albert,
be in a Ferrero Rocher sugar coma by Boxing Day night.
That's hilarious.
I'm not going, but never say never.
Oh, okay.
I'm also not going. And I'm going to be with my family, who are all from... My whole family comes from East London on my dad's side, so they're all West Ham fans.
Oh, bless them.
Oh, my God, you've got to watch it all together. Am I the only one going to the Emirates that night and upsetting my family?
Like I said, you never know. Never say never, mate, possibly.
Right, let's say hello to Azat from Dubai at 2 in the morning. I love you all. Honestly, I love all the foreign
Can I ask a
games.
question for Azat? Maybe he can answer us in the chat. I know this is not going to be as much fun for those people that are listening to this next day, but 2:25 in the morning, has he just powered through from the day before, or did he go to bed early? That's the question I'd like to do. We should
Come on,
probably get
Azat.
on to some more Arsenal-based game stuff, but that's a question I've got.
It is quite funny.
Can I come back to a point that Chris brought up? I've got some stat. I don't know if
I
am
love
I
your
allowed to do that?
stats. Yeah, of course.
Okay. I don't know if any of you have seen. I love it. I love a Google spreadsheet. I do them on everything, and I've done one. I've been tweeting it recently. The start from the beginning of the season, like WWWL, DDD. At the moment, we've got 12 wins. It's taken us 14 games to get 12 wins. Last season, 22 games to get our 12th win. Season before that, 28 games to get our 12th win.
Wow.
And the season before that, 33rd game before we got 12 wins. So talking about what Chris was saying, great start to the season. I mean, even if you look back, I mean, what would you say is our best season? Personally, I'd say the 98 season. That was my favourite. That was 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It took us until game 25 to get 12 wins.
All right.
See,
Dan,
I would have said the 2007, 2008, because I don't know why. I'm sure you, Danny, will be able to tell a stat man, but I feel like we had like 7 out of our first 10 games were at home, and we ended up blitzing all of those in 2010, 2007, 2008. That was the Eduardo leg break season. So I've got a feeling that was pretty well done.
Game 23 to get 12 wins.
Danny, can you look up 1989? Can you see how long it took to get that amount of wins?
I did actually go to 89.
Did you? I've got some more quotes that I'm going to read in a minute, but I'd like to say thank you, John.
20.
How many?
20.
Wow. So this is the best season so
Yeah,
far.
there's a lot of positives this season. I mean, there was a stat in during the game. Is it now after today's win? 11 wins, getting the goal, going ahead and from winning positions. I think it's 11 out of. I think that's about 11 wins. That's an impressive stat, man.
Scored in every game this season. Game this season as well.
Well said. Yeah,
this is Dan's new name, Spreadsheet Dan. That's why we all love him. Spreadsheet Dan. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Azat told us, this is what he said, Chris. I just watched the game, walking back to the hotel right now, very happy. Thing is, when you win, you're just not tired, are you? You just get it the next day. You just power on because you're a gooner.
Sorry, Amanda. Just put in Masha down record. Sorry.
Yeah, go on, darling. You do that. I'll watch that
It's
later.
at 11 o'clock. It's at 11 o'clock. We're all good. It's at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I think everyone should listen to Arsenal Analyse when he says, smash that like button. You're well, Amanda, and everyone watching too. I don't know what means you're well. Yeah. What is that? Is that young talk, Albert? You're well.
It's a very positive thing, Amanda. That's all you need to know. Okay, that's my guy. Yeah.
He's spelled all wrong. I'm not going there because it's a very nice tweet.
Can I ask a question to you three?
Of course you can, Chris.
Yes.
The World Cup. The World Cup is now on our doorstep. No more games. Is that actually a bad thing for us?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, because our players could get injured and the momentum changes and they come back and could be. Yeah, but they could be. Who's not playing? Our players are playing.
I think we've got 8 players going to the World Cup. I think 3 of them are going to be starters.
Oh, do you?
Xhaka, Partey.
Yeah.
I mean, people will understand why I will say this, being Nigerian, but if Partey comes home early, I'm not really going to complain personally.
No. But they're going out to Dubai, I think, for some training sessions and stuff like that, which will be interesting. But you see, I'm a little bit like Dan, Chris. I'm not interested in the World Cup. Will I watch England? Probably. I'll be more watching Brazil with Switzerland,
you're watching it, Amanda.
Ghana. Yeah, I'll watch it, but I've got no interest. I'm exactly like Nobby Clark. No, honestly, I'm just going to put your quote up. Sorry, wrong one because I went down too fast. No interest in the World Cup at all. So what I've decided to do, instead of just stopping this podcast now and starting it back after Christmas, I'm having shows with lots of different people, Dan being one of them, and lots of different people that haven't been on before. I've got Tim from the AST coming on. Stuart's coming back, the photographer. We're going to do what Arsenal mean to me. So it's all going to be about old school Arsenal, just how people got into it, because I'm not really interested in the World Cup. I'm sure there's going to be some amazing games, but I have a massive problem with Qatar holding it, and I think that I really it's just leaving a bad taste in my mouth. So I will tweet when the shows are going out. They're going to be live. You can talk to all my guests as well. So, yeah. What about you, Chris? Are you interested?
Yeah, I get into it because I'm a football fan. I have moral challenges that I come across, but I will watch it, but I'm not as invested. I've always been a club over country man. I have the benefit of having German and Dutch family heritage, so I get to split my allegiances a little bit, which is always interesting and fun. But do I ever really have the level of worry, fear, butterflies in my stomach, heart rate going up to like fat burning mode on my Fitbit when England were in the Euros, even in the final? No, a little bit. But Arsenal in the third round of the FA Cup playing Nottingham Forest when Mikel Arteta has played a slightly sort of youthful team, I was a lot more worried and nervous then than I am for England. It's one of those things. I watch it, I enjoy it. It's on TV. The hours that it is are a little bit more sociable. I'll be working with in the background. If you're listening to the audio, you can't see that, but in the background there's a flat screen TV. It will be on in the background as I work. That's as far as I go.
I'm sure, but it's interesting. So I've got some more quotes. Thank you, Carl Stark. Arteta on the momentum, which is what you were alluring to. When a team is in that moment, you want to carry on playing. We want to use that time as best as possible for those not involved, and the rest can fulfill a dream. Erdegaard's come out and said, we had to dig deep today. The first half was difficult. They defended well. We were a bit slow, but we know the quality we have, and we always create chances. We stayed patient, and it paid off. We talked about some tactical things at half-time and did better in the second half. We played the ball out wide, created some overload and got the goal, which helps. Arteta again, we showed another kind of maturity today to play their game in the first 20 to 30 minutes. We struggled to break them down. We were much better in the second half. And we had a bit more courage and took risks, but also not allowing them to run. Arteta and the players watched the City game together earlier. How did they react to Brentford's winner? As you can imagine, says Arteta, just like we all did. I was gobsmacked. So I watched up to 1-1 and then I turned it off. And I said to a couple of people on Twitter, do me a favour, just let me know, because I think they're just going to score and I don't want to see it. And this guy was so good on Twitter. He literally did like a teletext every minute. And then he went, there's a goal at the Etihad. And I was like, oh, you just know, don't you? And honestly, and it was lovely. I love Ivan Toney and I love their fans as well. Their fans were going mental. So, yeah, I think it's breaking up the momentum, Chris. It's not a good time for us. We want to keep on going. We want to keep on winning. Let's just hope when we come back, that we've still got the same momentum, really. I think we all feel a little bit, yeah, it's wonderful and everything, being top and everything's great, but we want to come back and we want to continue that. Adam is from New Hampshire. Thank you. Actually, it's your afternoon there for you, isn't it? Anyone got any questions for us? Oh, Azat from Dubai. I'm planning to go see a game. One game on the 3rd.
That's the 8th of January.
Yeah, that's finished then, isn't it?
Oh,
you mean
right.
over here?
Sorry.
No, yeah. Hope that will be Argentina if they win the group. Azat, come back and tell us what it was like over there and what the game was like as well. Right, so let's just jump a bit ahead. I don't really like doing this, but I think it's quite important. I think for us to have a massive chance in winning the league, we need to strengthen in January. Now, I don't do transfer shows and I find it all boring, Dan. But I'm going to ask you all this, 2 players that you'd love to bring in. Who wants to go first? Just 2.
God, dear.
I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I could answer that question easily if it's a summer window, but January is difficult, particularly if they're looking at a striker situation, because that's the hardest position to get. But listen, I won't come out with a name because it's difficult. But I think I'd be very surprised if they don't bring a midfield player in. I'll be very surprised. And actually, what we do need, what I think we definitely need is a left-sided centre back, because I don't think you would have seen Gabriel play as many games you would have seen him play in the Europa League. So, what I will say, I won't give names, but I would expect minimum 2 to come in. Minimum to bring in 2 in January. I'll be happy with 3.
Yeah.
But minimum 2.
So 2 of the positions are what? Say that again, Albert.
So
Left side, centre back.
Yeah, central midfield and striker.
There's a lot of talk about Tielemans all the time, isn't there? And everyone keeps mentioning this in the group, in the chat room. Sorry, Chris, for you, agree with Albert or different positions?
I'm going to do it, Albert. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to disagree with you because I think that Saliba has played plenty in Marseille and stuff at left centre back. So I think if they need it, they'd play him there, shift White to centre half. So it's a Saliba and White centre half partnerships. But this all depends on the fitness of Tomiyasu, really, because he's injured again. Hopefully, they say it's just short term, and he's going to the World Cup with Japan. But if Tomiyasu gets he's out for 3 months. And let's be honest, even when he was at Bologna, he had an injury record. So I think we need to accept that he's going to be a bit like KT from now on. So at the moment, I feel like in defence, we're sort of all right. We can shuffle the deck a little bit. I do agree that I think they'll look at a midfield because if you look at our games in January, that is some scary sort of fixtures that we've got.
I haven't looked. Let's have a look.
We've got Newcastle at home on the 3rd of January.
Yeah.
They're flying high. We've got Tottenham away, always a difficult game, on the 14th of January. We've got Man United at home on the 21st of January. And we've got Everton away and then Brentford at home. That is a tough January. And if Thomas Partey breaks down, woe betide us if El Neni is the only option because he doesn't trust Lokonga. And so I do wonder if they'll do that. I'm not sure if they'll go for Tielemans because it really depends on how much Arteta fancies Lokonga as a potential left 8. And, Granit Xhaka normally, sickness aside, is Mr. Impervious to injury, touchwood, as he says that. So he might be all right. But I think they'll look at a Thomas Partey understudy. And then I think, but actually even before that, I think they're going to go for a wide forward. And I think they're going to go for a wide forward because you've got Martinelli is on that left-hand side. I wonder if they think of Smith Rowe potentially could play that left 8 position if Xhaka's injured or in other competitions. If he gets back fit and isn't injured. The Saka question as well, because Marquinhos, not quite ready. Reece Nelson, not quite for me. Eddie Nketiah, I don't know. Maybe as a centre forward, but I just feel like they'll go for a versatile player who can play left or right on the wide forward positions. And I'll stop talking now because I'm monologuing.
No, it's great.
Amanda, there's some names in the chat, but I think they're more. I wouldn't see some of them players coming in January. Like Mudrik's he's a good player from what I've seen. Mitrovic, I get it in terms of something very, very different at the top of the pitch. But some of the names and the people thrown in there, which have been flying around for a few weeks, I couldn't see that happening in January, personally.
What about you, Dan?
I think we've got to look at the things that we need. First of all, if they're going to come in January, they need to have played in the Premier League. So that rules out a lot of players. That Mudryk bloke is magnificent, but he is a luxury player who is that we could only get if we're maybe in the summer transfer window. So we need someone that we can have an alternate style of play up front, someone big. Tammy Abrahams, Roma, a 7th in Serie A at the moment. Jose has decided that now they've got Dybala there, that he's the number 1. So Tammy's hardly playing. He'd love to come back to England. I mean, he's 6'3", played in the Premier League, and the other thing, he's only 25. He was 25 a couple of weeks ago. And the other one I want, again, played in the Premier League, Douglas Luiz. He's only 24 years old. Arteta knows him from his time at Man City because he was there for a few years. Another Brazilian, so he'll fit in with all the Brazilians we've got already. And I think if what's his name? Emery wants to rebuild that Aston Villa. He's going to need money. And what better way to get money than the player who's just signed a new contract to make sure you get decent money for him?
Exactly.
So 25, 30 million pound. And then with that money, Emery can go and buy Frankie Coquelin and renovate that Aston Villa side. So they're the two. And they'll fit right in, and they know how to play in the Premier League already.
Bulgarian Guna's saying that Douglas Luiz signed a new deal, Dan.
But that's what Dan was saying, that they did that because his contract was going to run down.
Yeah, don't mean nothing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So Guna Tom wants to know, we're going to come and everyone in the chat room, just throw us any questions you want. We're going to end soon because I'm shattered and need to go to sleep.
I've only been up 2 hours. What's up with you?
Oh my God. I had a really bad night's sleep. I'm surprised I'm not asleep. The one thing that we are all forgetting, and I say this every week, ESR's got to come back. So that is going to be like a new signing. What do you guys think of Tony?
It's all right, Tony. We know who Tony Abrams is. Right?
Tony Abrams. Down the time.
Tammy has actually got a brother who plays lower league. I think he's at Newport. He's rubbish.
Would be fun if it was Tony. Tammy has not been scoring, Cole says. Robert says, I can't see Abraham come to us and play back up.
Man, do you know what it comes down to with a lot of these players? Sometimes it's just timing. So if you'd have had this, if you'd have asked this conversation with Abrahams last season, he had a very good season at Roma last season. Then people would have been more on it. Some people were on it even when we got linked with him before he went to Roma, but Chelsea weren't going to let us have him. But if you ask the question now, listen, like Danny made the key point Danny's made, which I'm big on this, is getting players that's played within the league or are in the Premier League. Makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Karen Russell, welcome to the show, darling. Thank you for joining us. What do you think our chances of getting Tony are?
I would like him. Peterborough legend. Him and Ben White played at Peterborough together a few years ago. Come on, the posh.
I like Ivan Toney. What do you think, Chris?
I don't think it'll happen. No. Brentford, it's tied down to a longer contract. I think Brentford would command a big fee. And we're not going to pay a big fee for somebody who's just going to sit behind Gabriel Jesus. That's why we signed up Edin Nketiah on a decent-sized contract, because I think the club looked at it in the summer and said, do you know what? We could just invest the same amount of money as we're doing with Nketiah and not pay a fee. I think that's entirely where they came from. They've probably thought, we'll save ourselves the best part of 30-40 million quid by just signing Nketiah up to improve terms. And so that's not happening unless in the summer they sell Nketiah for a big chunk of cash and then they need a replacement. Then maybe, but is Tony going to want to, I don't know, would he want to join when only being a bit part Europa or hopefully next season Champions League player? I don't know.
I was thinking about Balogun before Robert said that, actually. He's scoring for fun at the moment, isn't he?
He's doing well. He's doing very well.
Let him continue. Yeah, let him do that. Okay, so we're going to end in a couple of minutes, but I just want to say, does anyone on this panel now think that we're going to win the league? Put your hand up.
No one's jinxing it.
No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for the audio people, does it? No. We might want to say.
Chris, that's a good point. No, Amanda, like I've always said with this question, because it's come up recently for a lot of people. I've always said, for me personally, ask me back in January, February. I'll tell you. I'll give you a definitive answer.
Always said, ask me end of March, beginning of April. That's when I think, if we're still there, that then it will be squeaky bum time. That's for sure.
It's like the Leicester question, isn't it? After every phase of the season, that season is like, oh, they're still, can they win it? Can they win it? That'll give you a good indication. January, February, 100%.
Yeah, I think also there's an element of Man City have set the bar so massively high that it's like, unless you're going to get 95 points, because that's probably what Man City are aiming for in their 90s. Like, this isn't like the 90s and the 2000s where 86, 87 points gets you the league title potentially. This is like Liverpool and Man City have set a bar so high that you've basically got to get as close as you can to 100 points, which is ridiculous. And that's why, for me, not until, like you, Amanda, not until March, April. Because if we're up towards trending on a north of 90 points mark, I might believe. But until then, let's just hold our horses.
But it's interesting, Dan, isn't it? Because if we do get through the test that Chris was talking about in January, you get through all that winning, maybe a possible draw, you're going to start to feel in February, wow, and depends if we bought a couple of players in, if ESR's come back and we're winning. I did say that it's annoying me now because it's just starting to believe a little bit. It's the weirdest feeling because none of us expected this, did we, Dan?
I mean, like Chris was saying, we won the league in 98 with 78 points. That probably wouldn't even get you Champions League anymore.
No, it wouldn't.
And then 87, in 2002, and in the Invincibles we got 90 points, and that's getting more like a bit. But in recent years, we had 56 points in 1 year. We've nearly got that now. It's just ridiculous.
That 37 points is it out of 42?
It's
Oh,
crazy.
come on, it's wonderful.
But as for the can we do it when we're 10 points clear with 3 games to go? Give us a call.
Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. Never trust football.
Oh no, it's tough, isn't it? Because it's just starting, I think. Right, everybody. What can I say? You know,
What a show! What a show!
What a show! What a team! All of you.
What a season!
What a season so far. Part 1 of the season is over. We couldn't have asked for any more. Our team have been magnificent. Thank you for everyone in the chat room. You've been magnificent as well. Thank you for joining us again. I will, as I said, I'm going to do some shows. Please come and join us. They're going to be some interesting ones. We'll be back after Boxing Day. I don't know when. But it's the weirdest thing now to say Merry Christmas, but I'm not going to see a lot of you until after Christmas. I can't do it yet. Christopher, tell everybody where everyone can find you and your daily blog every day.
It's a www.iwishitcouldbechristmasforthearsenaleveryday.com. It's actually not. It's Suburban Gooner. And just look me up on Twitter and that's fine.
Yeah, go and follow him. I love your daily blogs. I love his little rants. Bless him.
Yeah, good.
Albert, come on, Albert. Albert,
Yes.
you are on everything at the moment. Look at this; it's brilliant.
Well,
tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I am everywhere. Got my own channel, obviously, as well, Albert JTV. You'll see me on the Lounge, Arsenal Lounge. You'll see me on Judge TV. You'll see me on here, same on Arsenal. Where else am I? I can't remember. I'm everywhere. But people come and check out.
You're just a fantastic guest with brilliant views, and I love you. You're like my adopted son. You know that, don't you?
He's about your age.
No, he's not. I'm 53, Dan.
Where's his pocket money? Where's his pocket money?
Trust me. And you know that. You know how old I am.
He looks about 20, but he's a lot more than 20.
Danny. You're right, Danny. Plus VAT, mate. Plus VAT.
I love Albert. So go and check Albert out, especially his own channel. He does fan cams. He's on everybody else's podcast because he's a brilliant guest. He really is, and a great host. And I'm looking forward, actually, Albert, to coming on yours. I haven't been on yours for ages, so it'd be lovely to come back on yours. Because I'm inviting myself. Dan, I can't wait. I want to come and do the Sunday roast with you. I haven't been on your show for years, so I want to come do it.
Maybe one day.
Sunday roast.
I've got to go on the list, haven't I? There's a list of people.
Oh, not anymore. No one turns up.
Oh, I'll always turn up. Right. Thank you, Dan. I loved having you on. You've got to come back more often. Stop doing your shows at the same time and come back on. Because everyone
only
loves
a matter
you.
of time till that podcast falls in on itself like a collapsing black hole.
No, it's been going for as long as I know.
10 years.
Over.
Oh, wow.
Isn't it 10 years over? It's fantastic.
Are you gonna ask
Everyone
me
go
where you
and
can find
find
me?
I'm going to, but what I was going to do is going to ask like this big thing for you, Dan.
Go on then, go on.
Spreadsheet Dan will come back and see, look what Joshua Page has just said to you. Get PG back on ABW.
Oh God, the self promo. It's embarrassing, Amanda. Just let Danny tell people where they can find him for Christ's sake.
I'm begging to go on. Can you believe this? Dan, tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me at Michael Feinberg on Twitter and the Gooners podcast. That's where I am.
And you can find him on there, yes.
You can. We can find you everywhere. But tell us on Twitter where you are.
At Michael Feinberg. Feinberg,
your
Michael.
Twitter name.
That's it. That's what I am. I'm Michael Feinberg. You've got any grief, you don't like me, come and get me on Feinberg. Michael Feinberg and the Gooners podcast. That's my podcast. Come and give me some grief.
Oh, dear.
Come report me to Twitter.
Don't report to Twitter. No. He's a Bergkamp Wonderland, the GFP. He's magnificent. I love him. He's always been like a little brother to me. Because I was on the sister show. I know, but I'm still be my little brother.
Oh no, we're the same age. I'm 52 now. I forgot.
I'm 53, going on to 54 next year. My God.
Aren't we all,
Where's time going? I've got to see Arsenal win the Champions League. That's it. And then I can die peacefully.
Before we put you in a home.
Before you put me in a home, drinking vodka, eating chocolate, watching the Arsenal. This is very nice. Thanks, Dante. Thanks, guys. It's been lovely interacting with you people. Till next time, inshallah, Jah love and God's blessings. How lovely. Thank you, Dante. Right, crew, we're off. We're top of the league. You got to press like just for being top of the league. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. And remember, always, always Arsenal. Good night.